Hi, Katrine. I'm going to give you some feedback here on your assignment 2 on comprehensive approach. I suggest that you maybe open your text and have a look through it while I'm speaking. I think it might make more sense to you if you have the text in front of you. Um, I'm going to give you feedback on two aspects. One is called the global level of the text, and the other is the local level. When we talk about the text globally, it's to do with how it's structured. So what I'm looking for is whether there is a logical connection between the different elements in the text. Is there a red thread that I can follow? And are you speaking or writing for the reader so the reader can follow along? On a local level, we're looking at sort of the command of the English language. Is it grammatically correct? Is there enough vocabulary for the person writing to actually express his or her views? Those types of things. I'm going to talk mostly about the global level of your text. So in general, I will say that you need to frame your text more. And what I mean by that is you have to tell the reader what is going to happen. You sort of start in the middle of writing about the first question that was described in the task. So I'm not given the information about how these three major issues that you've been asked to write about, how they hang together. What is it? Why do I need to know about the present contribution? Why do I need to know about comprehensive approach? And what is it that you want to say when you are assessing the future and current contribution to inherent resolve in the light of the theory of comprehensive approach? So make these three things hang together and describe that in your introduction. What often happens is that you tend to write for the teacher. The point of asking you not to write for the teacher is that we want to know that you can communicate your knowledge accurately and with precision to someone external. Explain what needs to be explained, basically, so that we can check that you know. The same goes for when we ask you, of course, to make up your own mind in terms of how comprehensive the Danish contribution is. That's a way of asking you to apply your knowledge to a specific operation and a specific policy. So be critical and and argue your point of view. So we're asking you to do different things, and you have to demonstrate that you can do these things. And instead of writing to the teacher who already knows and who is willing sort of to accept that you have gained the knowledge that was needed for the course, you also have to be able to explain it to someone who doesn't have the same level of expertise as you do. And that's a communicative task that begins with the introduction and then continues with you considering your reader throughout the text. So make sure that you are not writing to an insider, but writing for someone who can follow your argument and has some knowledge about, say, foreign policy issues and security issues and knows the ins and outs of NATO and the UN, but who doesn't know what abbreviations mean or things like that. Okay. So that's the first thing to do with the global level, is to frame your text, introduce it, and also, of course, round it off in a way that seems logical. You may not have been able to conclude anything specifically. That's fine. Sometimes that's not possible. But round off by saying, so on balance, I think like this, or what we have now seen is that the Danish contribution could be characterized something. So something that just ties everything together. Getting into the more technical side of your writing, or the more sort of detailed side of your writing, I'm going to talk a little bit about paragraphs. Your paragraphs are too short. Now, there's no hard and fast rule for saying how long should a paragraph be, other than it's long enough. But just looking across the page, I can tell that you make too short paragraphs. I've never seen anyone being able to write sufficient paragraphs that are that short for a whole page. The golden rule here is that each paragraph has one clear message. Often it's expressed in a topic sentence. If you Google that, you can find loads of good resources for how to structure a paragraph. The topic sentence is what the paragraph is saying in a nutshell. So the rest of the paragraph introduces the topic sentence and elaborates on it. So it might be that you prove your message by using statistics, using quotes, or basically arguing for your point of view so that your way of thinking is understood. Depends on what you're doing. If you're being descriptive, of course, you refer perhaps to facts that you've read or to external sources that you've read and will give you support for your claim. If it's a more argumentative text, it's to do with how you're able to combine the facts that you've already described into an argument. So I would suggest that you take a highlighter pen, print out your text, take a highlighter pen, and then highlight all the topic sentences that you've got. I think you'll find that some of the information that's been split up by you hitting enter twice, right? So there's in layout, there's a space in between the paragraphs. I think some of those should be in one paragraph. If that's not the case, if you do in fact have a topic sentence in each of those very short paragraphs, that means you need to probably elaborate a little bit more or support a little bit more in some of them at least. So have a look at that, because what I'm left with is a very fragmented text. Because what that visual space on the page signals to the reader is now to something else, and now to a completely different thing. So I'm looking for, okay, so what is coming next? What is coming next? And that makes the whole thing a bit fragmented and scattered. So help your reader by collecting all of the relevant information in one block. So this is what you need to know in order to understand the topic sentence. Okay, yes. So also that would create better coherence for the reader. So that's to do with the global level. I don't have a lot to say about your command of the English language. It's pretty good. Adequate for this level. You can say what you want to say. You can express what you want. There's sufficient vocabulary. There's a bit of an issue with subject-verb agreement in certain places, but not something that's systematical. So it doesn't hinder the reader in reading your text. That's one thing I will tell you, is that you have to find a good online source on writing numbers. When do we use the full stop and when do we use the comma in English? Because it's actually the other way around from Danish. So please research that, because that is actually going to be important. That's one of the things that can create serious misunderstandings. Is it 15 point something or is it 15,000? That's basically the difference, right? So please research that to make sure that you know in the future. Okay, that's it for me. If there's anything you want me to elaborate on or comment, or you have comments for me, please feel free to drop me a line. You have my email address in the list of participants for the course. So please do that if there's anything you want to know. Okay, bye.